Hey Donnie, how are you?
Fine, and you, Colin?
Good man. It's so good to see you again. Looking forward to today's conversation.
Yeah, this whole Excel, our beloved Excel, and all the places we encounter it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
When we just if we look at the last 5 years and what we've done at Lancea, it's shocking how much of our time goes into fitting businesses to their existing Excel processes. And and it's almost interesting how after spending millions on ERP systems,
Yeah.
businesses effectively in the end run in parallel on Excel. They call it this system, the shadow system reality is how it's branded. After having read up about it a little bit, but we
Yeah.
encounter it everywhere. That everything from your financial side, where it's things like your budgeting cycle, that happens typically in Excel. It's Excels are being sent around and then accumulated there back into finance management to consolidate those budgets, into even things like chasing up debtors and the whole debtor cycle, where comments and your last engagements tends to end up quite often for some companies still in Excel versions running next to their age analysis.
Sure.
In other scenarios, we've got things, obviously, the one that we play a lot in is your whole inventory planning domain, planning systems,
Yes.
and where MRP is sort of not meeting the exact needs, or Excel is just used to bring additional functionality into your planning cycles, etc. But basically, just in so many places, Excel
Yeah.
still plays a big part in business systems. It's almost as if you had to choose your most critical system in your business processes. Then many companies would unfortunately still say it's Excel, although the ERP is
So,
supposed to keep it all together. But
yeah.
Excel then in the end runs in parallel to your ERP, which is, in many ways a disaster.
Yeah. And do you think it's just the familiarity of Excel that keeps guys going back that way? Or do you think, why is it so easy to do that? Like,
What do you think?
Yeah, I think the main pain point is that your ERP system generally has got a very specific flow to it, and it's most of the time it's built within your your stock standard business process flows.
Yeah.
And what we find in businesses generally is that there's so much nuances and exceptions and things that's just very fundamental to your own process, and unique to you. It's actually in many cases your differentiators, and what makes you unique is about the stuff that you do different to the industry standard, if you can call it that. And
Yeah.
all of that is quite often accommodated within Excel.
Yeah.
And no standard system fully compensates for the uniqueness of your own processes. So, in the end, because of the fact that your system can't handle your real needs in terms of a lot of the process, you pull in Excel, and because of the flexibility of it, you build out Excel processes that runs there very close to how you'd want to run your business. I think that's the first major reason. And the other, I think, resolves around reporting, and where you want to actually interact with reports. So you've got reports that brings you data.
yes.
Maybe the age analysis is again a good example. You've got a payment age analysis, say, of your customers, and now you need to you end up having to action on that and to make notes against it, and to you need a working sheet in the end. And the issue is
Yeah.
you've got a report that needs to be a working sheet as well, and the minute you've combined a report with a working sheet, generally the name of that is in most cases Excel.
Yeah.
So where can you get a report that you can actually work on in your system? So if there was a report in which you could click buttons and perform actions and give data inputs and make comments, etc. It's almost like your comments on your report. The minute you need comments on your report, where do you do it? You do it in Excel. All right, and that's sort of the other main contributor, I believe.
So it's almost like all the real business logic, all of that stuff ends up going to Excel. Not all of it, but a lot of it, because of exactly what you said now. You want something that's actionable. And guys are looking for something that's actionable, and sometimes it's a bit difficult to dig into the standard system. And even like that, the feedback element, relationships, so that you can make decisions for processes. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, you're basically saying that's some of the things that happen often. Yeah.
Exactly. So shared sheets. Another example is say production planning. So how often is your production lines, the schedules that you want to use in your production process, is so often that is communicated between the teams on Excel, and updates and changes and all of that to it is made in Excel, so that everyone is kept on the same sheet. Now, sometimes it's a shared live Excel that many people contribute towards because you need feedback on it. It's sort of a planning cycle within it, but then also a progress reporting and all of that into the same sheet. Now, generally that's not live. It's often updated periodically or every evening or whatever. But that's just another example of it's actually, in a way, a big part of it is a report. It's the need for visible information, but then also with the need to be able to give feedback on it and to comment on it, to talk back to the report. And Excel is a great tool for that. The issue with Excel, however, is there's many issues, but one of the main ones then is that typically you need to pull data out of your ERP into Excel. In many ways, you can do ODBC reports or whichever way you use to get it into Excel. And then you've got quite a lot of issues getting it back into the ERP. And typically it's obviously delayed. It's not real-time live. There's the issue of multiple versions. They get corrupted, those Excel sheets. So it's a very dirty process. It's extremely flexible, and for that reason, it's so well adopted. But it's actually a really dirty, unstable type process with a lot of risk to it. And also a major issue with it is that you end up with a lot of your business IP floating around in Excel sheets and not being built formally into your business structure. Floating on Excel, being at risk of file corruption, etc., but also of people leaving, taking sheets with them. Generally, those sheets are only maintainable by the original creator of it. So there's a specific individual almost always that's integral to a specific sheet. And if something happened to them, or if they're just on leave or not available, what we normally see is that the whole business waits till they're back. If anything goes wrong, it's almost like the person themselves. So it is in many ways it's surprising and strange that ERP systems and generally business systems are not addressing those needs well yet. We do believe it's busy changing, and I must say over the last few years in Lancea, we've made massive progress in terms of how we are addressing that within ERP. So effectively, your Excel type experience, but it's within the ERP framework. In our case, in most instances, within SYSPRO. But living in the ERP realm with all the security tied to it, and it's not Excel, it's in the ERP, but it's an Excel type experience with all the features or most of the features that you typically have in Excel.
But I think that's really the problem that SYSPRO and anything like SYSPRO is going to struggle with, is that just businesses are very different and their processes are different. based on context, based on products and services and so on and so forth. So there will always be nuances, and those nuances are going to be massive. And I think that's why Excel has had to sort of fill that gap, and I think possibly that's why ERPs aren't really trying to go into those spaces, but actually at the end of the day, it's part of what makes Lancea amazing is the ability to tailor certain things and to understand a business and what its specific needs are. And I think that's some of the conversations we've had internally about SYSPRO and Lancea. And I think for me, it's crazy to think that management systems critical to daily operations is run in a volatile system in this day and age. Basically, it's and not small companies, large companies are still relying so heavily on it. And I think they're probably doing it, and this is my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours on this, is they're probably doing it obviously because it's easy, but also because they haven't been presented another solution, and something that they feel like they can easily adopt. Because the whole point of doing it on Excel was because it was an easy adoption. So in that, what do you have to say about that space?
No, very true. I think you're absolutely right there. That historically, system customization has been notoriously expensive and difficult to do. And because of that, if you wanted to get a quick win, you would default to Excel. But I do think that's definitely changed. And if I look at how many Excel processes we've replaced over the last years with very well tailored process flows within the ERP, that still gives you the flexibility, or let's say all the nuances that Excel presented them, because we were able to basically use that Excel methodology within the ERP. It is changing the world there, and customers love it. That's definitely our experience. Customers love the ability to put what's been developed in Excel and what really works for them in Excel into formal ERP process. Still with the same look and feel, actually, still with all the data available in grid-like format, not sitting, on a one record per screen like traditional ERP views, but having a typical Excel view, but with the execution buttons and the ability to feed information back. So in that sense, often Excel is for us a great prototyping tool, right? It's actually a great tool to build the specification in many scenarios. And especially if it's been used in a certain format already for a while, the business has grown in their understanding of their own process. They figured it out well with Excel. The biggest issue is that the technical problems with it, the fact that it's not version controlled, that it's informal, that it's dependent on people, that it crashes, that it corrupts. That's the drawback. But the flexibility and the whole design element that brought it to the point where it's at is often an enormous plus. So Excel as the tool to get you there is great, but you just should not stay in Excel. Then you need to move on into something sustainable for your business. And I do think that's actually, the going forward, that's going to be the main differentiator for businesses. It's actually already the case. Is the more you can take those nuances of your own business and your own business differentiators and build that into systems, then it really becomes automated, and it really becomes something where people can be used for the critical decisions, and basically you've got the ability to use them for where they're able to add most value, and to drive automation, if you want to call it that, through established processes. But you're only able to do that if what you are implementing really matches your requirement on the process. The minute it's slightly disconnected, or it doesn't happen in the way that the people are able to easily work with it, then so easily you actually go backwards, because you end up still with exporting out of your ERP into Excel and other places, or just visualizations or reports where they can do what they've done before, and they need to put it back in the system afterwards. Whereas, we really do believe the two need to run together. Your system, you can't go out and in of your system all the time. You need to operate and work within your system, and without being compromised by doing that, doing that.
So on that, I'm just thinking about just the logical for a company that's busy scaling operations. They've got obviously someone who's like a visionary leader who understands where they're going and what they're trying to accomplish, and a lot of times that has to do with the implementation of either optimized or new systems and flows of systems. And those flows of systems should absolutely be integrated into the ERP system itself. But most times what will happen is that person will be doing that in Excel, sort of playing it out until they find, okay, this is the most optimal, efficient version of this for their company. And then what happens is then this thing sits outside, and it's actually, like you said rightly, like it's the major IP. It's actually the vision and almost the nuance that sets them apart. But now they actually don't have that in their expensive ERP system. And how important would it be for someone to actually have that formalized quickly? Because either it'll get lost in translation, or it's the visionary guy will sort of get involved in other things, or he gets so caught up in trying to keep this system running that he can't actually be utilized in other areas in the company. So he actually losing a lot of brain power, possibly, to something that should just be an automation, that should actually just have been thought out, planned out, and then implemented. That's sort of my concern in this is, companies that are trying to scale, they've got great ideas, but now they're sitting, they illicit fuss, as they say, Yeah.
Generally, when you try and implement those processes you're talking about, that's been sort of refined in Excel over time, and you bring that to your traditional ERP workflow, you in most cases find that the traditional ERP workflow do not accommodate for those refinements that the people built into the Excel process over time. There's a lot of nuances that they've developed into those Excels that traditional ERP just won't handle. But that's where we are now able to accommodate that fully, actually, just as well as it's been done in Excel. But just with the difference that it lives within the ERP, it can post packet and can read live out of ERP, but it's still got the Excel abilities in that flow. So I think it would be fantastic to hear from our audience, on scenarios where they encounter Excel, where they know Excel is instrumental to what they do. I think we've got so many examples of where we've replaced it that we can probably do use cases in follow-up videos to basically just show what can be done, and to trigger some thought there within our communities.
If this video sparked a question or got you thinking differently about your business, that was exactly the point. Check out the links around the video for real-time examples and practical insights. And remember to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. It's free, and that way you stay ahead with any future videos that we release about ERP insights as they come out. So you can stay on top of things. This channel is all about transforming complexity into clarity, one smart move at a time. Until next time.